Hello? Can you guys hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Yes. Great. Awesome. Just doing a sound check. Can you guys hear me? Yep. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much one more time. Welcome again to Live Coding After Hours Flutter Edition, or in this case, Firebase Edition. My name is Roman. I am a Flutter GDE. I am also a lead organizer at GDG Lawrence. I am one of the mentors for the Northeast for the GDG program. Today, we're going to be dealing with Firebase and Flutter. As you know, for the past 10 weeks, can you believe this? This is episode 10. This is the 10th week where you've been joining me in building this casual game where we've taken it from nothing, from the first Flutter Create project to what it is right now. So it's a casual game that I've been building for the past 10 weeks. Today, we're going to be mixing it up with Firebase. We're going to be adding the leaderboards. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. Make sure to stick around, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Tweet Flutter Live Coding at the end of this session. I'm going to be raffling either a Flutter t-shirt or a Firebase t-shirt just like this one. So make sure to be there. Thank you everybody for joining. As always, we have the usual suspects joining us tonight. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Randall. Randall was the first one, guys. He wants his t-shirt. Thank you, Jose. Sirhan, how you doing, buddy? Is your app already ready? Awesome. Damien, are you done with your app from the Flutter London Code Camp? Who else is here? We got Musis. I think that's your name. Sorry about that. Who else is in the house? Please make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding at the end of this session. We're going to be raffling a Firebase t-shirt just like this one. Or if you want, I can send you a Flutter t-shirt. But we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. We're going to be building our application. Remember the application that we've been building for the past 10 weeks. For the past 10 weeks, we've been building this application, this casual game in Flutter, both for iOS and Android. I'm going to be releasing it soon. Tonight, we're going to be dealing with the leaderboards. We're going to be creating it from scratch. You'll see that. So stick around. We're going to do a lot of cool things. So thank you so much. Cirilo, how you doing, buddy? All the way from Dominican Republic. Android developers in the house. Thank you so much for joining. So I just wanted to also thank everybody for your support on a couple of the tweets that I've been dropping for the past week or so. I don't know if you guys checked that. Sorry, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that if you guys saw that application that I've been building, it's an application that I've been building with these devices right here, this Wi-Fi enabled devices. It's a pretty cool application. It didn't take me that long. So I just wanted to just quick shout out on that app and everybody who's supporting me on that. So I will be dropping the code on that. I'll create a video just for that session. So stick around, make sure to follow me because I'm going to be doing that session on that application only. How to connect to like Wi-Fi enabled plugs, IoT devices and whatnot. So I'm going to be doing some of that. Oh, says, can anyone read lips? Sorry about that, Rando. So yes, I think we're back on now. Can you guys hear me now? Let's proceed. Great. Thank you. So yeah, the app, this is the app that we've been using. Okay, perfect. There it is. So this is the app that we're going to be building. Tonight, we're going to be focused on the leaderboard. Also, another announcement that I have for some of you is that so next Wednesday, I'm not going to be able to be doing the streaming. That is the only time that I'm going to be skipping it. Why? Because of this. I'm going to be next week at the Firebase Summit in New York. Tuesday, October 18th in New York, the Firebase Summit. That's also another reason why I'm promoting the Firebase, that precisely it landed today, on being about Firebase. So let me see if you guys can see my my camera there. Let me flip it. There we go. Can you see me there? Perfect. Awesome. So yes, so next week, Firebase Summit in New York. It's a free event. They're gonna do a lot of really cool things about Firebase. So I invite everybody to join. If you can join online, of course, but there's gonna be a jam-packed agenda all about Firebase. What's new about Firebase? You can check it out. I can drop the link in the chat so you guys can take a look. So make sure to sign up and check out all the great things that are going to come with at the Firebase Summit event. So I'm going to be there as an attendee, of course, but I'm going to be doing live tweeting. We're going to be doing a lot of cool things. That's on Tuesday, but I'm going to be staying in New York for other events in there. But yeah, check out the agenda. There's a lot of cool things on Firebase. Damien, it will be online. It will be a hybrid. So there's a live aspect of it, so there will be like a in-person event, but also it will be a broadcasted. So make sure to stay in tune for that sign up, so that if you're not able to make it, you can definitely join. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing Firebase, and in honor of next week's, again, remember, we're not going to do next Wednesday. We're going to do the following one, but all of these upcoming sessions are going to be mostly about Firebase. So let's proceed. I'm just gonna close this. So again, let me just show you exactly where we left off last time. Let me just remember, tweet Flutter live coding. At the end of the session, I'm gonna raffle a Firebase t-shirt, but if you're Randall, you're waiting for a Flutter t-shirt, so I'll give you a Flutter t-shirt if you want. Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. All of you guys watching, make sure to stay tuned. We're going to be doing this. Now, let me show you where we left it off last time. So remember, this is our casual game. It's a skipping frog. That's what I'm calling it. Remember last time we did the onboarding aspect. Let me show you how I finished it. It came out really nice. I have like a page viewer in here. You can see I have like animations in each one of the steps. Like I explain people how to use it, very simple, in a very straightforward way to do it. And if you see, like, I can skip, and you can see like another animation, so it's pretty cool. I wanted to make a very, very simple but at the same time attractive onboarding process for folks. And remember, check this out. You can either say skip and start it, you can go right away, or you can just go inside of the game right away. But if you slide at the last step, I say let's play. I switch the button to let's play, and then you can just go right away. So it looks pretty cool. I like the way it came out. And remember, when you hit the never show this again, it persists. It's using share preferences, so it persists that flag, and then it doesn't show this onboarding again. So it's pretty cool. Remember, I'll just reload it one more time so that you guys can see it. So actually, I'm gonna play the game. Just remember, just so that you know how it is. You have to swipe in the direction of the leaf to make the frog jump, and then you just get to the end. When you get to the end, then you get a score, and then you get like the time. For example, right now my score is 750, 17 seconds, of course, because I shortened it just so that you guys can see it. Oh, you say intervals, yeah. That's right. So cool, there you go. So check this out. So you see, now you get the score, you get the time. Now I want to be able to, when I click on submit score, there's nothing in there. We want to make it look like this design right here. So I'm going to show here my Figma. Those of you maybe who are fans of Figma, it's very easy to use. This is how I mock up my UI. So this is exactly what we're going to implement. So we're going to implement the leaderboards. If you see right here, there's like this section right here. I'm sorry. I think I can just do it like that and do like a stroke so you guys can see it. Let me bring it like a little. Okay. So check this out. So this part right here is going to be like the score panel, so to speak. Like this is the score panel. Like actually all of this right here, right? And then we're going to implement like the list of players, which is down here. So we're going to implement these two pieces. Let's see how far we can get tonight, because again, I don't like to keep you here too long, but let's see how far we can get in implementing this page. I wish I could implement the Firebase authentication also. So those are a couple of the things that we're going to be doing tonight. So stay tuned. At the end of the session, you will see this leaderboard pretty much done. But again, make sure to continue tweeting Flutter live coding throughout this session to get the chance to win a Firebase t-shirt just like this one, or a Flutter t-shirt if you wish. So let's proceed. So let's continue. So let's Let's go right away. I'm just going to move this over to the side. And again, I'm just going to give you my little spiel again about Firebase. What's Firebase? Remember that Firebase is this conglomerate, this a serverless suite of services provided by Google. It's actually built on top of the Google Cloud, but you can use this serverless suite of services that you can build mobile, desktop, mobile, web, and server applications using all serverless components. You can do, Firebase has like a lot of really cool things. It has authentication. It has, actually, let me stop talking. Let me show you pretty much what Firebase is all about. So we're going to be using Firestore, but Firebase as a whole, if you go, for example, to Firebase pricing, you can see like all the features that Firebase has. So Firebase, again, like I said, is a suite of serverless services that you can use to build very robust backends. They call Firebase kind of like backend as a service. So you don't have to stand up any servers. You don't have to create like a middle tier. You can immediately build your application on top of the Google Cloud using Firebase, and you can leverage stuff like authentication. You can see, for example, you can start on the Spark plan, which is like the basic plan, no cost, and you have very generous quotas in there. So it's pretty cool. Damien says, are you going to be table or just rows? Very funny. Very funny. We're going to be using Firebase Cloud Firestore, which is a NoSQL document and collection serverless database. So we're not going to be using tables or rows, of course. I'm going to be explaining a little bit on the structure. So it's based on documents and collections. That's Firebase Cloud Firestore. It's multi-regional, is very fast, it has ACID transactions, strong consistency, multi-regional. Did I say that? It's like amazing. It's pretty cool. It has a very JSON compatible type of structure, and it's pretty cool. So, but again, all of the other features about like the ones that are going to be using in this session are going to be authentication, or actually in this application is authentication in Cloud Firestore. Authentication you get for free. You get third-party providers that you can authenticate your application with. You can use Google, Microsoft, Firebase, Facebook, Twitter. You can use all of that. Cloud Firestore, yeah, you get like for free. You get like 1 GB of storage total. You get 20,000 writes per day, 50,000 reads per day. If you don't exceed that quota, it's completely free. But then if you do, you get into the Google Cloud pricing. But for starting an application like this, I'm going to stay on the free tier. And I'm going to be able to supply and provide my users with a great experience. You can take a look at all the other features about Firebase that you can leverage. Cloud functions, cloud messaging. I am going to be adding Crashlytics to my application. It's pretty cool. Hosting, you can do hosting. You can host like your Flutter web apps. In-app messaging is completely free, completely at no cost. There's so many things that we could do. Oh, you say for the UI? Nah, I'm not going to be using that. I'm going to roll out my own. You know how I am, man. I'm not going to be using tables, no rows. Just good old columns and rows. That's all I'm going to be doing. But yeah, you're going to see that. So we're going to start with Cloud Firestore. Like I mentioned, Firebase Cloud Firestore is a serverless, NoSQL, very robust document and collection database that is very schemaless, but it has that structure like the column and document. It follows that, has a very friendly JSON type of structure, so you can see that. It has also real-time capabilities, so we're gonna leverage all of those things. So the first thing that we're gonna do is leveraging, for example, like how are you gonna use Flutter, like Firebase with Flutter? How do you connect it? Well, this is your answer. Flutterfire. Flutterfire is the official Firebase plugins for Flutter. And then within Flutter, you can immediately consume like the whole Firebase suite. You can do authentication. You can do Cloud Firestore, which is what we're going to be doing tonight. So you're going to see that. Oh, Dyer, thank you, buddy. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, now you see the right category. It's because you helped me fix it. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Dyer. Such a great developer, hardcore gamer in the house, all the way from the DR. Thank you so much for joining. So let's start with the Flutterfire. So you need to install the Flutterfire package, so that then you can leverage the Firebase capabilities. We're going to be tapping into the database aspect of it. We're going to be doing Cloud Firestore. So I'm going to do it from scratch because I don't have anything in here. So you're going to see me just as anybody else. There's nothing in there. We're going to build our, we're going to import the Flutterfire. So this document is very comprehensive. The documentation is very good, very friendly. You can take a look. This is firebase.flutter.dev. And we can start, for example, with the beginning, like you can come over here and you can check, you can take a look, like, you can go to the get started and you see how you install it. So you can take a look at the Firebase CLI. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. Thank you, Damien. So let's start right from the beginning. So the first thing that you're going to be doing is installing Flutterfire. So you either install, you can do like npm install, and then you install the Firebase CLI. You can do that. For example, if you, for some of you who are like on a Mac, you can just do npm. I think on Windows you can do the same thing as well. So let me bring up another terminal and then we're going to start it right away. So I think I already have it installed, but for those of you who don't have it, you have to say npm install. I think it's Firebase CLI. Of course, I need to be sudo npm install Firebase CLI. Let me try that. And then it's gonna, okay, so of course because I'm doing the wrong installation. So when you want to install it correctly, you could do, for example, like I want to install the CLI, but I already have it installed. So the way that you install the CLI, you have to say Firebase tools. Sorry about that. So that's the way you say. So you have to say npm install -g because you want it global, and then you say Firebase tools. So that's how you do it. Yeah, see, I need to do with sudo npm install -g Firebase-tools. You see, nothing is rehearsed here. I'm starting it from scratch and I'm doing it again. There you go. You can install the binary. You can definitely do that. I like the command line more. Because I'm always there in the command line and then I can do it. But I already had it installed, and that's like a one single time install. That's why I even forgot the name of it. But let's do it. Let's see, we're starting from scratch. There it is. So now it is installed. Now we proceed with the next installation. So we're going right from the beginning. What's the next thing that you want to do? You want to do the first, you want to add the Firebase core package, because you want to start initializing Flutterfire, right? So you want to, after you install the Firebase tools and you have the CLI in there, you want to also activate the Flutterfire. But the first thing that you want to do is this one, Flutter add Firebase core. So let's add this guy right here. I'm just going to move this down here and then we're going to do it. So I'm going to do Flutter pub add Firebase core. What this will do is we'll add the package to your pubspec, to your pubspec.yaml. Sorry about that. So there it is. So we added my the pubspec.yaml. If I just go inside of my pubspec.yaml, I should be able to see it right here. There it is. See, like I don't have anything in here. I'm starting it from scratch. Like you can see it. I have Firebase core. Now I have that piece. I continue with the next step. What is the next thing that you require? Well, the Flutterfire has a CLI. It's not just the Firebase CLI that you can use, but this is the Flutterfire CLI. And then to initialize the Flutterfire, you need to, you need to have add all the dependencies and all the things that actually allow you to connect to Firebase, create a project, and install like all the dependencies for you automatically, as opposed to you having to do it manually. So let's start by activating the Flutterfire CLI. So let me just do exactly that. So I'll clear, and then I'll just do that. Dart pub global activate Flutter CLI. So let's do that. See, again, remember, the only thing that I'm going by is my design. So I'm starting it from scratch using Firebase. There you go. Perfect. Now all I need to do is add the pub cache /bin to my path. See, they even instruct you here. Like after you install the Flutter CLI, you activate it. Because it's not on my path, you have to copy this. That's as far as I remember last time I did it. You have to just do that, and then it adds it to the path. That way you can, the next upcoming commands are required for you to have it even temporarily in the path. So now that I have that, let's proceed to the next step. So, okay, then you configure Flutterfire. So now you're going to go through a couple of steps that is going to allow you to configure Flutterfire. Actually, even your your Firebase project. So let's start there. Perfect. So I should be already logged in. You should have the Firebase CLI. I already had it installed, and I already have I'm already logged in. So look, if I cancel out of here, I'll just cancel out and do Firebase login. That is what the Firebase tools allows you. See, I'm already signed in with my Gmail account. I can log out and log back in, but I'm just gonna go again, back to do the Flutter Fire configure. So because I'm already logged in into my Firebase account, the first thing that you get asked is like, okay, select either a Firebase project, an existing project, or create your own. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be doing right now. I'm gonna be creating a brand new Firebase project. So let's do that. See, I don't have anything created, so I'm gonna say create a new project. You can use your arrows, hit enter, and the project, let's call it Skipping Frog Mobile. I'll call it Skipping Frog Mobile. Okay, let's call it that. Is it? Let me see. Okay, so I'll do Skipping Frog Mobile. Why is it? Okay, so is it not allowing me? Let me see. Skipping Frog. Let's just call it that, for example. I can do mobile. Okay, why is it not like has like a limit on the name? A little weird. Anyway, I'll do Skipping Frog, something like that. And then if I hit enter, that's a project ID for the project. So I'll hit the Skipping Frog. So it's creating the Firebase project. Firebase Night. Have you tried Supabase? Supabase is pretty cool. I've also tried, but I've tried AWS Amplify. I've tried Fauna. There are other like cool serverless backends that you can use. But for example, like that give you that capability of like having like a serverless database. Supabase, I've heard really good things about it, but I've heard I've used other like I use MongoDB at my job. I use MongoDB with a Python backend. Okay, so let's continue here. Which platforms am I going to be supporting? So I'm going to be supporting, I'll say, only Android and iOS. I'm not going to do macOS and web. This is just a mobile application on Android and iOS. So I'm only going to be supporting those two platforms. So I'll hit enter. And then now what it's going to do is registering the application in Firebase. It's creating a brand new project. It's calling it Skipping Frog. We should be able to take a look at it later. But let's make sure that we finalize at least the setting up here of the application, right? So it installs like all the dependencies and whatnot. See, it already adds like all the plugins. So let's just hit continue, yes, and there it is. So it just created the Firebase configuration. It adds a bunch of things like already for you. Check this out. So it adds see, for iOS, it adds a Firebase app ID file, like with all the configuration. It adds a Google service info P list. So you see, it adds a bunch of things that you had to, before you had to add manually. What else does it add? It goes up here in the Android folder. I know it adds like a bunch of things. Oh, there it is. So it adds a Google services.json. So you see, the Flutter Fire CLI does a lot of automated configuration for you, so you don't have to do it manually. Otherwise, this is very error prone. So I like that it created like all these things for me. It created this configuration with all the information about how to connect to Firebase and whatnot from Android. Same thing for iOS. It adds like all that configuration, the Google Services Info P list, all of that. I like all of this. The pubspec.yaml should be able, well, here we need to add other packages, but see, like macOS, I don't know why I even did macOS. Well, it looks just like that, but anyway. So it added a bunch of things. That's what I love about it. And yeah, Jose, you're totally right. The Firebase CLI, I think you and I have used it in previous events that we've done where we've played with Firebase. It's pretty cool. The Firebase gives you a lot of things. So and it automated a lot of things for you. So after this project is created, now I should be able to have a project created in Firebase. So let's go and take a look at it. So I think I have this application running. I mean, if I reload it, nothing should be blowing up because the CLI added a bunch of files for us. So let's just see, it shouldn't blow up, it should still be the same thing. But see, it's just because I haven't added anything yet. So this is where we're gonna be adding the leaderboards. Perfect. So let's go back now with the Flutter Fire CLI already set up. Let's go to the console in Firebase to see if my project got created. So let's go. So I'm gonna go, these are all the projects that I had before. And here it is, Skipping Frog. So you already created the project. Perfect. So now this is my Firebase project, and check this out. It already added 2 applications, one for Android, one for iOS, with all of their configuration all set up. That's what I like about the Flutter CLI, the Flutter Fire CLI, that it did already all of that for us. So it already added the 2 apps. It would have added a web app if I had picked it. Yeah, I would have added a bunch of cool things in here. So I have my project. I'm all good. So what I'm going to be using is, of course, Cloud Firestore, which is I'm going to be creating a collection with some documents in there and whatnot. So that's what I'm going to be leveraging for here. A couple of things that you need to make sure to add when you create a Flutter Fire project that it doesn't get done for you automatically is when you go to the configuration, to the settings, this here right here, the support email, a bunch of things blow up for you and don't work if you don't add a minimum. Just select the support email. This is so trivial, but it's so important. Like if you just miss this step, like don't select the support email, later down the road you get like a bunch of build errors, and then it says like, oh, it's because you don't have the support email. You cannot load this library, you cannot do this just because it didn't have the support email. It's crazy, but just make sure that when you do that through the Flutter Fire CLI and you come back here, just select the support email, and then you should be good. I don't know if it allows me to save, but I think it should do it here. Let me do the same thing for iOS. I think it does have the same thing as well. There, okay, I already set the support email, so it's set up for both of them because it's for the project in general. So now let's go to create our collection. Remember, we're doing a NoSQL serverless, very scalable, very very fast, real-time capabilities type of NoSQL database, which is Cloud Firestore. So let me show you where it is. So it's right here under Firestore database, right here. You guys can see it, perfect. So let me go. So right here, you can create your first database. So I'm going to click create the Fire database. I'm going to start in test mode. You can go straight into production mode, but I'm going to keep it in test mode so that I can keep it open. But then after that, I'm going to change the rules. Remember, there's a bunch of security rules that you can apply to your database so that not everybody can just read it openly like that. So I'm just going to keep open it in test mode and just proceed. Hey Hector, bienvenido desde la República Dominicana, all the way from the DR. Thank you, Hector, for joining. We're doing Firebase. Make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding. At the end of the session, I am going to be raffling a Firebase t-shirt, but if you want a Flutter t-shirt, all good with me too. I'm going to do it at the end, so let's continue. So I'm going to start in test mode. I hit next. You see, remember that I told you what Firebase Cloud Firestore is? It's a NoSQL multi-regional database, a multi-regional NoSQL database. This is the key right here. So I want to make it multi-region because I want to make it, I want it to have like automatic replication across those regions throughout the Google network so that it is available to multiple users around the world. So I make sure that it's there, and then I enable. It's going to provision it. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to do it. Remember, I haven't done this. I'm doing it for the first time for this application. So bear with us as you know, this is taking time to do it because we're building it right in front of you guys. And let's see how far we get. I'm hoping to like get the whole thing done, at least the table and whatnot. Perfect. So again, the first thing that you do with Firebase Cloud Firestore is you create a collection. So I'm going to call that collection Leaderboard. Simple as that. When you create a collection, you need to have at a minimum one single document when you're creating the collection. So you can add every like collection. Remember, it's kind of like it equates to a database, like a table, and then the documents are like the rows in that table, like Damien mentioned. So, but Damien mentioned the UI, but now I'm bringing it back to the database. So a collection is like a table. Documents are like the rows that contain key value pairs that represent like the fields or the columns in your row. So for example, for a document, you need to have a document ID, or you can use like an auto ID. So I'm going to use like an auto ID. Later, I'm going to change this document ID to be the ID of the user that is logged in. But right now, that's when we get to authentication. For now, we're just going to keep it simple. Let's add a couple of fields. So I'm going to add like name. And I'm going to keep like, you can change the type of field that you want to do. So you can do string. And then I'm going to say, for example, like Roman E. Jaquez. That's the name of the player, for example. So in the leaderboard, you're going to have a bunch of documents, each one representing an individual player. We're going to add like a score field. And I'm going to make it number. And let's say the score will be, I don't know, some arbitrary number. And then I'm going to add another field. I'm going to call it like time in seconds, something like that. Because remember, when you're playing the game, whoever has the lowest, the shortest time in which you complete your run, like the jump, then you win. So time in seconds will be something that we're going to be capturing. So I'm going to keep it as a number. And then let's say you completed this in, 60 seconds, something like that. Like that. So you see, this is how we're going to be representing one single player inside of the application. Like inside of the database, I'm going to store that. So it's going to have name, scored, and time in seconds. Something simple. So I'm going to hit save, and then you see how I already created a collection, which represents like a table. And then the table has rows. In this case, the collection has documents. You can watch a couple of the previous videos that I have on Firebase, and you can take a look at that, definitely. So yes, app check. I'm definitely going to add app check. Thank you, Damien. I'm going to add app check. I'm going to add Crashlytics. So those things I'm going to be adding. Let's add a couple more documents. I'm going to add another guy. I'm going to say name. And then I'm going to call it Damien. Yeah, Damien Diaz. That's the name. The score. Let's say Damien was jumping a lot and he made it, for example, he got to 15,000 points. And his time in seconds was also a number, let's say 120, like in 2 minutes, something like that. So you see, you have to make sure that you want to call the same fields in every document. You want to make them the same type. You want to name them the same way. That way they don't blow up in the application. Let me add another one, and then I'm going to say name. I'm going to say Sirhan. And I'm going to add another field. Of course, I need to make sure to keep the fields. But again, you can add even arbitrary fields to a document. But it's good to keep consistency, to kind of keep it consistent to kind of like even what a regular database is, like, with tables, columns, and rows and whatnot. So I'm just going to name it exactly the same way. So I'm going to add a score, type, number. You can add other types. But in this particular case, mine is really simple. So I'm gonna do, for example, like 18,000 or something like that, and 180,000. And then I'm gonna add my time in seconds, also a number, and we're gonna do 360, something like that. And I'm gonna hit save. So you see, now I already have my database set up. I have one collection, 3 documents. There's no relationship between them. You could establish that, but please, you want to deep dive into Firebase, you can definitely do so. But I'm gonna keep it simple. This is where my the players are gonna be stored in this collection. Now let's go back to Flutter and let's make sure that I can connect to this database and I can pull the information from these users. Yeah, David, you're playing already. That's correct. So I can just just move this aside and let's go back to our application, because we're gonna continue with the setting up. For example, remember that we did the Flutterfire continue and whatnot. Now we want to start initializing the connection to Firebase from our application. So let's do that. So the first thing that you want to do is import the packages that you need. For example, in this particular case, I'm just gonna I'm gonna go to the main. I think right now right here they tell you go to the main Dart file. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna move this down here. I'm gonna go to my main Dart, and all the way at the beginning they just say exactly what to do. So you have to make your main method async. You have to make sure that the widget's Flutter binding is initialized before you do any calls to to an external package like the Firebase. So I'm just gonna copy this and just import everything. It's gonna import it automatically for me. If I just come over here, paste this, and add a sync here. And then I'm going to now start importing these packages that are missing. For example, I need the Firebase core, so I'm gonna import it. And these default Firebase options is something that the Flutterfire created for me. So I'm going to import it. And let me show you what it has. So this file is created for you, and it already has like a bunch of checks, like whether it determines the current platform in which you're running the instance of Firebase. And then it does the proper linking and loading up of the packages and whatnot, the proper configuration. Please don't screenshot this. I'm just kidding. It's okay. I'm going to implement app check. And even though you copy this, you won't be able to penetrate my application and do anything. That's the cool thing about this. So this is the configuration that I'm going to need for Android and iOS, as you can see. So it's all taken care of by that Firebase option. So that's the first thing that I do there in initializing the connectivity to Firebase. Perfect. That's it, guys. That's it. You don't need anything else after that. Now all you need to do is just proceed and start pulling it. See, that's it. Otherwise, if you don't do this, then you do the manual installation. But so far as initializing Firebase, let's try to rebuild the application one more time. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to run it one more time. And all it's going to do is just initialize the connection to Firebase, but it's not going to show anything because we don't have anything. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing right now. So I initialize Firebase right now. It's going to bootstrap the application. It's going to load it again. Now we're going to start consuming the information from Firebase. Cool. There we go. So now let's go back. While this is loading, I'm going to show you again the collection. Remember, we have a collection called Leaderboard. Remember this. The collection is called Leaderboard. And the Leaderboard is going to have documents of this type that have a name, score, and time in seconds. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to be creating, I'm going to be pulling that collection. You see, I'm here and it's all good. Now, if I go to the leaderboards, there's nothing. But now we're going to start pulling all that information and creating the models that will map to these documents. So you want to be able to do the mapping of these JSON looking type of document into a strongly typed document or model in the Dart side of things, so that you can map those values in there. So let's take a look. Oh, that's right, they are in the house. Perfect. So let's do that. So I'm going to be creating here in my models. I'm going to be creating something that I'm going to call it like the player model. So I'm going to go here to the models. I'm going to create one file. I'm going to call it player model. I know that some of you aren't a fan of a couple of the things that I do it myself, but it's just because I want to show you how it's done. If you just all the time rely on the automation that it does, cool, it's very convenient, makes you very productive, it's really fast, but I'm here to show you how it's done or how it gets created. So the player model is going to represent one of these documents right here. So I'm going to map all the fields in here into my player model, my player model. So I'm going to add a name, score, and time in seconds. So let's do exactly that. So I'm going to be creating a class called player model. Can you guys see there? I think you guys can see. I hope you guys can see the code well. So the things that I'm gonna add are I'm gonna add like a string called name. I'm gonna add score. What is it that we have? Name, score, and time in seconds. That's exactly name, score, and time in seconds. So score should be an integer. And final time integer also, time in seconds, because we're going to be representing things in seconds, not like milliseconds or anything like that. I think I also want to add like an ID, so I'm going to keep like because I want to persist the ID of the document for that player. So let's do that also. So I'm going to just create an ID. Then of course I need to create my player model, my constructor, where I'm going to just make them all require. I'm going to say, I can just come over here and say, I'll do require this ID, require this dot name, require this dot score, and require this dot in second, this dot time in seconds. So I have my model pretty much created. What I want to do is when I receive the information from Firebase for every document, I want to map it to this object. How do you do it? Some of you know already you can create like the code snippets that actually create this for you, but I like to create it for you so you can see where it comes from. So then what you need to create is some sort of like a factory method or like a utility method that maps like that JSON representation into this strongly typed model. So the way to do it is you create like a factory method. It's like a useful constructor that just churns out instances of this type when you inject like the data to hydrate it. For example, here I'm just gonna say the common way to do it, the standard or the convention to do it is saying, for example, like from JSON, and then what you do here is you pass like a map of string dynamic, and then you call it like JSON, something like that. And then out of this method, what you do is you just spin up a new instance, for example, and you can just return it. I like to create it instead of populating itself. I like to create like a factory method that generates new instances as opposed to populating this instance. So I like to say return, player model, and then I just feed like all of this, like all of these values like this. Because you could do it in multiple ways. I like to create my like those utility methods that allow me to feed the values into a new instance so that I can just churn out values out of it. So it's a true factory method. So now I'm going to populate the values with the JSON, incoming JSON. And the way that you receive it from Firebase is kind of like a map, like a dictionary of key value pairs, right? So I'm going to say JSON, actually ID is not coming from there. So ID should be coming from, because you see here, it's not coming from here. The ID will be coming from the document itself as opposed to the data inside of the document. So I'm going to do, for example, I'm going to pass the string doc ID separately. So I'm going to say here, let me do word wrap. Here we go. So I'm just going to say doc ID here. But the other properties, I'm going to populate them out of the map. So I'm going to say name, JSON. You see me, I'm just typing it like that. I know it's hurting your eyes right now, but I like doing it this way so you learn how to do it. So you know how it's done. So I'm just going to say, score. I'm going to say score. I'm going to populate my score. And I'm going to do the time in seconds. Same thing, time in seconds. Just like that. You see, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm mapping my values from Firebase into this object so that when I receive it later, I should be able to pull it and then they're just created and then I just churn out instances of player model pretty much. So let me save that. Got it. So you see I have my model already created. It's pretty much mapping what this is. So let's go back over. And then now what I'm going to do, now that I have my player model created, you know already what I'm going to do. In order to consume the Firebase instance, you can call it anywhere pretty much, but that's not the proper way to do it. For example, here you can immediately say Firebase. You can say Firebase Firestore. For example, you can say Firebase Firestore. You can import it, and then, for example, you can do Firebase Firestore.instance and whatnot. But I don't want to do it like that. I want to be able to create a service. You want to wrap that implementation just like, for example, some of the, hey, Marco, how you doing, buddy? Marco Napoli, thank you very much for showing up. An amazing Flutter enthusiast and developer and author. So thank you. Thank you very much, Marco, for being in the house. So let's continue. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be creating a service to wrap around the Firebase implementation, because what if, like Damien said, like I want to replace it by, or like Diane said, like I want to replace it by Supabase. I want to replace it by AWS Amplify. I just wrap it around a service and then I encapsulate all that logic. So of course, I'm going to be creating a service. So I'm going to do like I'm going to call it leaderboard service.dart. Anybody saying? Thank you, Marco. Thank you for joining. And make sure to tweet Flutter Life Coding so you could get a chance to get a Firebase t-shirt this time. Not a Flutter t-shirt, but a Firebase t-shirt. So let's proceed. So I'm going to be creating this leaderboard service, which is going to pretty much encapsulate the functionality of Firebase. So I can replace it and then no one should know that this information is coming from Firebase. So we can just encapsulate the implementation of where we pull information from our players. So I'm starting from scratch. I'm gonna call it leaderboard service, and of course, I'm gonna do, for example, extends change notifier. Why? Because I'm going to be notifying when users arrive, rebuild the list. I submit a new user. I pull another. I retrieve a user and stuff like that. So I want to do the change notifier, of course. And I don't want to forget to add it to the list of my providers. So I'm going to come right here and do it right away so I don't forget it. So I'm going to add my leaderboard service. Here it is. And I can just go back and continue. So I'm going to close the Dart. Okay, now. So what we need to have in here is from Firebase, immediately you want to start consuming the instance of the Firebase Firestore a package. So the way that you do it is this. You say Firebase Firestore. I think it's here in the documentation. but it's just that I know that I remember. So if you come here to Cloud Firestore, it tells you exactly how to initialize it. Oh, well, first of all, we need to add the Cloud Firestore. I think it's already added. Let me take a look real quick. If not, we can just add it real quick. But Firebase Firestore, I mistyped it. I'm going to do it again. But make sure that it's, so you see, it's not there. So let's add Cloud Firestore. There you see, you do Flutter pub add Cloud Firestore. Not only you need the Firebase core to initialize it like we did, now you need each individual package for the feature in Firebase that you want to do. In this case, I want to use Cloud Firestore. So let's install it. So I'm going to just grab one of these terminals right here, and I'm going to say Flutter pub add Cloud Firestore. So I'm going to now add Cloud Firestore. You can add the authentication. You can add all of those individual packages. For now, and there it is, Cloud Firestore is already added. So now, I think that's the reason why it wasn't coming up, of course, because I hadn't installed it. Then you can rebuild your application, of course. So let me do that. I'm gonna kill it one more time. Hit Flutter run. I'm gonna do it one more time so that it picks up the package, right? Should be able to pick up the new package, and then this is where we're gonna be adding the leaderboards. So let me proceed in adding the logic that I want to pull the player information from Firestore. So I want to be able to pull these 3 documents out of this collection. How do I do it? So the first thing that I want to do is, while this is building, I'm going to say Firebase. See, now it comes up. Look, Firebase Firestore. See? And then Firebase Firestore, you need to pull an instance of that. So I'm going to just store it as one single instance of that. This is actually a singleton. So you do Firestore. And then you say Firebase Firestore, that instance. Just by doing this, you get Firebase's Firestore's singleton, and then you can use that as a singleton, but you wrap it around your own service. So I'm gonna continue, and then I'm gonna create, for example, like the list of the players that I'm going to be holding on to. So I'm gonna be creating a list of player model, right? And I'm gonna call it players. It's gonna be an empty list for now. Now I want to be able to pull information from Firebase. How do you do that? Firebase, it relies a lot on asynchronous communication. So you know where I'm going, right? We need to add like futures and implement futures and asynchronous calls and whatnot. So what I want to do here is a method called getPlayers, right? This method getPlayers is going to return a list of player models. So I'm going to go to Firebase. A player model. So I'm going to go to Firebase, fetch the players, map the documents into player models, and then spit it right out of this method as a future, because it's going to be an asynchronous call that I'm going to be doing. So you wrap this puppy around a future. So far, so good. You can just say get players, blah, blah, blah. And then you now right inside of this function, then you can implement, for example, the pulling of the values from Firebase out of your collection right away. Let me show you how to do that. So of course we already have our instance of Firestore. So I'm just going to say Firestore dot. Now we're going to start querying Firebase. So how do you query Firebase? You say Firebase Cloud Firestore. So you say dot collection. Remember the name of the collection that we have? We called it Leaderboard, right? So I'm just going to call it Leaderboard, right? And then out of the Leaderboard, you want to pull all the documents. So let's pull all the documents. I'm going to get the whole collection. How do you get the whole collection? Instead of me saying doc, like I'm going to pull like one single document, this is how you query in Firestore. You say get. And then by you saying .get, you're actually pulling the whole collection in a single swoop. It gives you all the documents. That's exactly what we want. We only have 3 documents, so we're just gonna pull it right back down. Later, I'm gonna show you a couple of optimizations on how you do it. Because remember, you get charged by, you can exceed your reading quota or your writing quota. So I'm gonna show you a couple of tricks on how to do that. Perfect. Yeah, Juan, thank you so much for joining. Yes, definitely. You can watch the rerun. But anyway, thank you so much for joining. For those of you sticking around, let's continue. I'm gonna continue just pulling the information from Firebase. So let's try that. So I'm gonna just pull all my documents. The way that I want to do it is I want to introduce like a tiny little bit of a delay between the fetching of the data and displaying of the data. I just don't want to just grab it and display it. I want to do like a little bit of a delay. So the way that I want to do it, I don't know how you guys do it out there. I like to use a completer. I don't know if you guys have used this, but a completer is nothing more than this utility that allows you to create futures. Like you can create a future and dispatch it to someone. Like if you want to simulate a long operation, you can, you know that it's going to take like a long time. You can create a completer, give a future object, that asynchronous object to whoever is going to listen to, and then later on you can notify that user or that client through that same future object. And then that way that person doesn't have to stay waiting for the operation to finish. They can already receive something that they can start listening on. So the way that I'm going to do it, this is the way I do it. I mean, some of you guys have used other packages and whatnot, but the way that I do it is like this. So I say list, player model, and then I'm going to call it like players completer. And then you create this instance of completer. Check this out. Right? Okay, still it's loading over there. That's fine. So now what I do is out of this method, I return a players completer that future. What do I do with this? What I do is I already feed somebody who's going to start listening on this. Before the information arrives, they're going to hook up to that future and start listening for when the data through that future arrives. Remember what a future is? It's nothing more than like an object that represents an operation to be performed in the future. So by you giving a future to that someone or to this something who's going to be listening, you don't have to keep them waiting. They just listen on that future, they hold on to it, and they just wait for the data to arrive through that future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch all the values, but check this out how I'm going to do it. After I get them, I'm going to say .then, and then here in the .then is where I'm going to capture all my documents, like all the player documents. So here I'm going to call it like player docs, for example, right? Like player docs. I have like all my documents right here. If you see, these are going to be all the documents that I'm going to be getting here. So now that I get all the documents, now what I can do is just map them straight up into my players list. So I'm just going to say players, right? I'm going to assign it to the players, for example. And then I'm going to say players equals, and I'm going to say, I can just say player docs. Remember, player docs is just that collection right there, like the all my players. So because this player docs, if you can see here, is a map of string dynamic, right? So it's kind of like a list, like an object that represents that collection. Out of that collection, then you can pull all the documents. So the way that you do it is like this. You say .docs, and by just saying .docs, you see what you get? It's a list of the document snapshots, meaning all the documents inside of the collection. So now what you can do, and I know some of you implemented, is actually just do a map, and then you map every document to a player object. So the way that I do it is I do docs.map, and of course every player, I can just say player model. I can just say player model. Let me just get rid of this, and I say player model dot from JSON. You see, and then I just say p dot. You see, the p is the document. It's just a document, and then the p, when you say dot data, is the whole all these properties right here as a map, as a dictionary. So right away, I am passing the data, which is a dictionary, a map of string dynamic. You see, you can just see it right there. Look, map string dynamic. And then the second parameter that I'm requiring is the ID. So the way that you extract the ID out of the document is just by saying p.id, just like that. Then after you do the mapping of every player to this, then you can just say dot to list. Simple as that. Now I have my players already retrieved. Let me do a wrap in here. Now after I have the list already like shown in there, like my players list, all I need to do is, now that I know that I've received the players, is just notify whoever's listening that the values have arrived. So all I'm gonna say is players completer dot complete. Then I pass the list of players right through there. So I'm just gonna come over, grab my players, pass it in there, and then I'm done. Check this out. Very simple, very straightforward. Damien, I know that you were today at the Flutter, the Code Camp in Flutter London, right? you saw Simon doing something exactly like this. So see, I'm doing it pretty much the same thing. It's very simple, very straightforward. You can just grab the value, you can just map it right away. And then that's it. You can just pass it like that. Now, all I need to check is now who's listening to this. Now, nobody is listening to this, of course. Now I just need to show like somewhere where I can have like someone that can listen to this. Sorry about that. So I just need somebody who can listen to this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go now to the leaderboards page, and I'm going to consume this service somewhere where I can just pull it right away. So let's go back now. Now that I have this, you see, very simple. Just one method that returns the list of player models, reads from Firebase, maps each document, and just sends it over. So now let's take a look to see if it's actually arriving. So let me go back to now I'm gonna go to my pages, the leaderboards page, this one. So in the leaderboards page, if you can see the leaderboards page, you can see right here in the leaderboards, there's nothing, right? So this is this space right here, the spacer. So I'm gonna add the list right there. Let's start with something simple. But for those of you who don't know, if you want to show, for example, if you want to consume something that has a future, something that performs an operation later in the future, you can use a very useful widget called the future builder. So that's exactly what we're going to be trying here. So let's check it out. Let's just see at least if we get the values. So let me do, for example, like here I'm going to say expanded, and then I'm going to say child. And then instead, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to add a future builder. A future builder. A future builder is that type of widget that you can feed into it a future. It listens to it, and then when the future is completed, it rebuilds itself. Every time there is a change, whether and then it gives you like different states, whether you're waiting, whether it completes with an error, whether the future completes with a success, and then you can have data. You can use it here very easily. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to, here in my build method, I'm going to just have an instance of the first thing that I'm going to do is in my leaderboards page is just an instance of that service, because I want to listen to that service, right? So I want to be able to get like this. I want to say what did I call it? Leaderboard service, provider.off, leaderboard service, and then I'm going to say context, listen, false, for example. Let's start simple, right? So I'm going to inject my provider. I'm going to pull the leaderboard service. And remember, the leaderboard service has this method called get players. So let's see if we can see the players coming through. So I have an issue here. What is it? Oh, of course, the future builder. So the future builder takes two main parameters. One is the future, and this is what you feed into it. And the future will be leaderboard service dot get players, of course. And it takes a second parameter, which is the builder. When the future changes states from waiting, completed, or error, it rebuilds. It calls this builder method. So and then what you get is actually a snapshot. The snapshot is how then you can retrieve the data, and then you can see the multiple states. The way that I've done it, I don't know how you guys do it, but the way that I do it is actually I handle like the multiple states that the future could be in. And the way that you do it is you can create something, for example, you can say like a switch statement, for example. You can say, for example, like switch, and then you say snapshot dot connection state, and then you have multiple connection states it's specifically in the future. The future builder gives you that capability. It gives you the way for you to kind of like know what are the different states in which your widget in which the future could be. It could be multiple states. For example, you can do a case for connection state when, for example, when it's waiting, right? You wanna handle that case. When, let's say, this is where the common case where you put like a spinner, right? That's how you do it. For example, you could do case connection state dot, and then the next one is, for example, like error or something like that. I think, sorry, I misspelled it. And you can do connection state dot, you see, you could do none, active, done, waiting, or values. What I do is I always say connection state waiting, connection state dot done, and then you can check, for example, for the snapshot I'm gonna add like a default case. I'm gonna do like a default case, for example, something like this. And then you can check for the snapshot. For example, here you can say, if I'm waiting, I'm gonna return a text widget that says, I'll do like a center, and then it says waiting. Center, child, text, and I'm gonna say waiting, for example, something like that, something simple. When it's done, let's say I want to do, actually I want to do it like this instead. I'm going to create a widget here, and then I'm going to call it returning widget, and then I'm going to return it out here at the end of the builder. So I'm going to say returning widget, for example. Just let's keep it like this. I can make it nullable, so I can just do this, and then check this out. So I'm gonna assign my return widget. If it's waiting, I'm gonna make it, it's a text waiting widget. When I'm done, I wanna check here how many players have arrived from my service, for example. And the default is gonna be, for example, it's always gonna be, for example, like, I don't know. For now, I'm gonna do container. I don't know what to do there yet, but let's keep it simple. Oh, I don't think I need this. Perfect. So check this out. So now that I have this, yes, the poster boy for people who didn't read the first 3 paragraphs of the API. Yes, that's correct. That's right. So yes, the future builder, you can do it very simple, just like this. So let's try. In this case, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna check here, for example, if I have received my players. How many players do I have? Let's take a look again. I have 3 players. So let's check how many players we have. So when I'm done, what I'm gonna say is players, and then I'm gonna retrieve the players out of that snapshot. So the snapshot is, now that the future has been completed, I'm gonna remember what I did through the leaderboard service. I fed the players through the future. My future builder is listening on that future, and then I'm gonna get the players. So I'm gonna say snapshot dot data as list of, because I'm unwrapping pretty much the future and pulling out the data that is packaged in there. So I'm just gonna say snapshot.data as a list player model. So I'm gonna cast the data that is wrapped inside the future as a list of player models. I'm assuming that the players are there. And then I'm gonna print here how many players I have. So I'm gonna just say the number of players. So I'm gonna say players.length players. And let's see if it shows up. So again, that's a very good point that you make there, Randall. So I definitely recommend folks watching that video right there. So let's take a look. So I'm gonna reload. Let's see what we see here in the leaderboards page. Again, did not rehearse this at all. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. So it's gonna load. We should be able to see the text says waiting, and then immediately, if it fetches the players, we should be able to debug it right away. And there it is. You see, it says 3 players. So I'm already pulling the players. You see how cool it is? I already have this pretty much set up right here. It already did it. And then what I said that I wanted to do is, like, I wanted to do a little bit of like a delay before I return the players. So the easiest way to do it is, I'm just gonna say future.delayed. I'm gonna do, for example, like, let's do like a const duration of like 2 seconds before returning the players to our users. I want to do like a nice little spinner in there, so I'm doing it on purpose. So I'm gonna reload. It says waiting for 2 seconds, then it displays it. Yes, I am. Damien, I know exactly that. So if you let me finish, I will show you how not to do it. So yes, every time you rebuild, you are calling the players. Thank you for noticing that. I am going to fix that. Thank you. So I'm gonna show you now. So yes, you call every time you're rebuilding, you're calling the 3 players. But I'm not gonna be rebuilding every time. I'm only gonna show you when you come in, and then I'm gonna be able to cache. See, you're already letting me. You're letting me go ahead of myself, because I'm already saying what I'm gonna do later. So let's be patient and let's get to that point. So I'm going to fix that, because every time you rebuild the page, it's gonna fetch the players. So I don't want that. I want it to either cache the players, not make sure that they don't get called every time, and then I can just show them a little bit, so I don't have to be exhausting my quota of reading and reads and writes from Firebase Cloud Firestore, so I can do more optimizations. There, yeah, exactly. Your free tier goes away. I have 50,000 reads in Firebase, so I'm probably down like at 49,997 because I've probably loaded only 3 times. So yes, exactly. So I'm gonna show you a couple of tricks on how to do that. So after I do that, let me show you. So I have this. Now what I want to do is actually, I don't want it to, now I want to split this into multiple components. So what I want to do is split this into the top part, which is the score panel, and then the bottom part, which is the list, right? So let's split it like that. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So yes, Damien already, he already gave away what I was going to do, but let's do it anyway. So let's actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna refactor this because I want to split it into a couple of components. So instead of a future builder, I'm going to encapsulate all of this in a separate widget, in a completely separate widget. So I'm gonna be creating inside of my page. I'm gonna be creating a couple of separate widgets. Only those widgets are gonna be there, and they're just gonna show, just gonna render appropriately inside of their own little widgets. And only a service is going to invoke the future, so only when I need it to load, it will load. So let's continue. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to I can even comment this out because I can just cut it out of here, and I'm gonna keep it in memory because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extract this out. So instead of here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create 3 components, right? So let me cut this out. I'm gonna create a couple of widgets that are going to represent kind of like my application, like this region right here. So inside of my widgets, I'm going to be creating one called leaderboard score panel dart. I'm going to be adding another file called leaderboard list dart because it's going to be like the player list pretty much, right? And then I'm going to be creating, for example, now in this particular case, I'm gonna be, if for example, like the leaderboards page, the page itself is gonna have like a panel. So the panel is gonna have, for example, like in here, I'm just gonna do the list of the players, and at the top, if you can see the design one more time, this top part is gonna be the score panel. This down here is gonna be the pretty much like the list, but it will contain kind of like the other things in there. The list, I only want to be the list. So I maybe want to create like a wrapper around that, and I'm going to call it like a leaderboard panel. Just gonna call it just like that. Perfect. So I'm gonna hold on to that thing that I did on the list. I'm just gonna do like, I'm gonna do stateless. I'm gonna create as a stateless widget. I'm gonna create it. Leaderboard list is a stateless widget. So let me just import this, and now I can let go of this right here. Perfect. I'm gonna import some of these things later, but for now, actually, I can just do it here real quick. I'm gonna move out of the page. Here, I'm just gonna cut this because I don't need it anymore from here, and I'm gonna bring it over here because that's where I need it. So I'll import it. Here we go, and I'll do this. Perfect. Awesome. So now that I took that out of the way, which is the list, I need to import this guy. List player model. Yeah, I need to import this. Actually, I may refactor this a little bit later, but let's continue in the leaderboards page. So in the leaderboards page, what I want is this component right here. I need 3 pieces. So I need I'm gonna add it as a column, right? And I'm gonna have my children, and then at the top of the children, remember, it's 3 sections. So here is the score panel. Then here I'm gonna add the list, or what I call the main panel, the leaderboard panel, like the leaderboard panel. And I'll tell you why I'm thinking like that, because I just wanted to add the list in there straight up, but I'm gonna do that. Yes, Juan Rodriguez, 50,000 reads per day. I'm probably down to 49,000, and then at the end of the day, they reset themselves, so you get 50,000 again. So that's what's pretty cool about it. So what I'm gonna be creating something again, like I said, leaderboards. I call it leaderboard score panel. Leaderboard score panel, and then I'm gonna have something down there called leaderboard panel, because it's gonna be the main one, but I'm gonna show you later. So let's just add this guy first. So it's gonna be the top piece in the panel. just so that this doesn't blow up, I'm gonna add a spacer here, just for now. But I wanna add this score panel and build out my, where's my Figma? Yeah, I'm gonna add this top piece right here. So let's move it over to this side. I'm gonna go to the leaderboard score panel, and I'm gonna go to my leaderboard score panel. I'm gonna make it as a make it a stateless I'll start as a stateless widget. Call it leaderboard score panel. Let's add this. So you know how I'll go about doing this widget. You know, I build the whole structure and whatnot. So let's do that. So I'm gonna start. I can start with a container, but I don't want a container. I'm gonna add a column with this widget. This is a row with 2 columns and another row with 2 buttons. So let's see how I can do this. So I'm gonna start with I'm gonna add a column, right? I can add a column, and out of my children, the first children is gonna be like that type of widget right there. So I'm gonna add a widget called like like this widget right here. This is called like what is it called again? Sorry, I moved the wrong window. So it's gonna be like it's gonna be an icon widget. So I'm gonna do icons. I think that's account circle, account circle, account circle, and then I'm gonna call it make it black, and probably size like 80, something like that. Let's start looking at it. So if I save it, go back to my leaderboards page and import it. Perfect. Let's go back. I can just do reload, and there it is. So I start seeing it. So let's start building it. So I have my score panel, which is just that image, right? That's okay. It's just what did I make it like? What's the size? Let me just move this over. I made it 80 pixels. I can do it like that. That's totally fine. I can keep it really simple. Sorry about that. So I can make it really simple. I don't need to go crazy because this is gonna be just a placeholder for the actual avatar image of the of the user, right? What I could do is actually then add inside of that column. I'm gonna add now the row that will represent these 2 columns right here, like the scores, right? So I'm gonna add one under this icon. I'm gonna add a row, and this row is gonna have 2 columns. Column and column. Sorry. So I'm gonna be adding a row with 2 columns. It says latest score with some value, latest time with some value. So let's do that. So I'm gonna add children. The first, the top one is just gonna be a simple text that says latest score, and the bottom one, what is it gonna say? We're gonna say, something, some score, blah blah blah. The next column is gonna have exactly the same thing, and it's gonna be called latest time. So this is gonna be a time, and the time is gonna look like this. Later, of course, we're gonna format it. Let's see what it looks like. So it's not like that. That's not how I want it. I want it also spaced out. So I want main axis alignment, main axis alignment, space between. I want it with some space between. I want this column to be left aligned, so cross axis alignment start, and this one I wanted cross axis alignment end, so that way I want it like that. Perfect. Okay, that's okay. Do I want some padding around this sucker? Okay, I may want like some padding all around it. Well, I can keep it like this for now. I can do the padding maybe at this level. Probably I can do like the padding at this level. Then I can do, for example, like 30 pixels padding. Let me do this. That's more like it. I like it like this. Let's go back to the score panel. Let's add some font sizes and some style so that at least we can see something in here. So I'll do style, text style, and then I'll do font size 20. And I'm gonna just grab this. Let me see. So let's do 20 pixels on that. That looks good. Then the bottom piece probably will be maybe a little larger. Let's do probably like 30. Let's not do, I'll just grab the same thing and I'll just do 30. First I'm gonna lay it out, then remember we're gonna refactor it just the same way that we do it. Yeah, the letter style, I added that custom font. I picked it up from the font.com. Maybe some of you have already used that provider. So there you go. So I have that latest score. We're gonna replace it later with the real deal, the real stuff. Now I want to add another row right underneath it that will represent like all my buttons. So I need 2 buttons. So out of this, under this row, I need another row with also with 2 buttons. So remember last time we were using like the elevated button. So we can use that. We can use other elevated buttons, but I want them to be spaced out. If you see here, I want these 2 buttons not to occupy the whole, to distribute their widths, to distribute their width evenly. So let's do it simple. Let's just grab a couple of expanded widgets. So I'm gonna do expanded, 2 expanded widgets. This widget is gonna have, I'm gonna be using like the elevated button again. I think I was a pretty fan of that one. Elevated button. And then as a child, I'm gonna add like a text widget that says, the one on the left says submit score, and then the one on the right says login. So let's do submit, sorry, I'm gonna say submit score. I can just probably copy paste this guy right here and then just do this. Let me see, and then this one is gonna be called login, and then I'm gonna programmatically replace that, and then okay, so the elevated button, of course, it needs to stay on pressed. Sorry about that. And so let's see. So let's start seeing them. So I have that. There you go. So I have 2 buttons, right? So now what we want to do is make sure that they have either some padding, they space themselves out a little bit. I could do this, add some spacing in between, and then I'll add like as a width, like 10 pixels, something like that. Let's try something like that. Now let's apply that style that I did before. I think I could even copy paste it from one of the other ones. The way that you do like the styles in the DSC Essential Flutter tree to quickly build nested widgets. Yeah, I don't have it in this one. This is new machine, but I would definitely love that. Thank you for the suggestion, Randall. Randall always suggests really cool things, so you should definitely pay a note to those things. Sometimes there are some plugins that do like a weird that's the one that I want, the one that you're saying. I want that nice little tree structure. I want that one. Perfect. Okay, let's continue with the style. So I'm gonna do the style on this. So you say style, elevated button, and then you say style from. Then now I'm gonna do, for this one, I'm gonna add background. So I'm gonna do background color. The one on the left has that color. So I'm gonna do like a faded black color in there. So I'm gonna do. Let me do, for example, like colors. I'll do colors that black with like an opacity. Let me try like a background like that. I don't want any shadows. Those ones have shadows. I don't want shadows. And the shape, I want it round. So I'm gonna say shape, and then the shape of this, you say rounded rectangle border with a border radius of, let's do radius that's circular. Let's start with 50. Oh no, sorry, not radius circular. You can do border radius. So you say border radius that circular. Thank you. And then you do, I'll do like 50. Let's start that. So now that I have that, there you go. That's what I want. This could be a little bigger. Let me do font size. Sorry. I'll do like font size of 20. Let me try that. But I need maybe some padding. I could probably add some padding around this text widget right here. So I'll do, and then I'll just replicate the same stuff that I did. So I'll wrap this with a padding. Let's do like 10 pixels. Let me reload. I'll do 12. Let me reload this. Perfect. Oh no, that's too much. Unless I want to bring down like the size on this guy. So I could either do that, but I can just bring this a little smaller because I don't want it like that. So I want it maybe like this. Got it. Now this one, I'm going to replicate some of these styles over here. And in the login, I'm going to do it right here. I want it black. I still want it like that. That looks more like it. I'm going to copy the styles from here. And I'm just gonna say login. So I'm gonna do login, and then I'll reload. That looks really good. So I want to keep it like that. That's fine. Maybe between this row and whatnot, I'll probably add like some spacing, and then I'll do like 10, 20 pixels on that. Perfect. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Stadium is so underused and underappreciated. Oh God, yes, yeah, you can, yes, it's very underutilized. Got it. Okay, so check this out. Yeah, Stadium is that type of style that gives you like that. Yes, I don't use it that much, but yeah, it's pretty useful. But I'm cool like this. Perfect. So now that I have this, now let's start building some of the list. How about that? So what I wanted to do is go back to my list. My list should be just the list. The panel, this should be the panel actually. So let me just refactor this piece right here. I'm gonna cut that and I'm just gonna say return, list view. No, actually, I'll just say return container. I'm gonna get back to this one in a minute. But my panel, I want it to be the one that represents the whole panel that will switch between a loading, an error message, or the list. So I'm gonna keep it also as a stateless widget. I'm gonna call it leaderboard panel. Gonna import the material and return my stuff. Oh, I think what did I do? What is this? Perfect. Here we go. Let me import provider, import the leaderboard service. What else do I need? I need this. Perfect. Got it. So let's now add back to my page. Sorry guys that I may go a little fast, but it's just because we've been going a little bit over time, but that's okay. We're gonna continue. I'm gonna try to at least show you the list of the players, just like the full page, just show at least just the display of the players. So I don't need that. I may not need the spacer anymore. And this leaderboard panel, I'm going to probably wrap this future builder inside an expander. An expanded widget, I'm sorry. Now let's rebuild and let's see what we see. So I should see nothing pretty much, because again, this is still just going to show like waiting and the text. That's it. Perfect. Yes, the stadium. Yeah, you didn't know onto that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a cool. It's like you know about these widgets. That there's always a widget for that. Pretty cool. So let's continue. So let's go, and here it is. It's waiting, and then it says waiting, and then it says 3 players. So the first thing that I want to do is, you see why I wanted to create the panel? The panel now is going to represent the widget that will switch between a loading or let's say the list. So in this particular case, what I want to do is actually a leaderboard loading widget. Here, then what I want to do, as opposed to doing this, for example, is a widget called, I'm going to say returning widget is then the leaderboard list. So that's going to be my widget. And the default will be here, leaderboard, what did I call it? The loading. I'm going to call it leaderboard loading. So I'm going to keep it there for now as a placeholder. Let's go back and create it. So what I want to do is a very simple widget. So I'm going to create one file. I'll call it leaderboard loading.dart. I'll create it as a stateless widget. Very simple. But at least what I want to do, is I want to be able to create, for example, in this particular case, I'm going to create a center widget. As a child, I'm going to have a stack, because I don't think I designed it here, but I think what I want to do is I'm going to leverage, for example, like some of these icons that I have to create a nicely created, like a circular spinner with the logo in the middle. So let me show you how I want to do it. So I'm going to do children, and then I'm going to do center. And then as a center, I'm going to add an icon, and the icon would be like one of those, what did I call it? Skipping frog font dot frog. You'll check this out. You'll check it out. I'll make it that it always be in the, I think I can import this now. Perfect. So I'll make it that it's always, I can comment all this out just for a second. And then here I'm going to say leaderboard loading, because I want to build out this widget, and then so that you guys can see it, you'll see it now. So I'll do frog. Let me reload. And there you see the little frog right there. That's what I want to do. And then around this, what I want to do is a center. Right on top of it, I want to add I'm coming up with this on the fly, guys. So be patient. I'm actually just creating this. I did not anticipate this. I did not think of it. I don't have it in my design. I'm just creating it on the fly. So because I wanted to do like a cool loading in there, as opposed to using like the default one. So I'm going to use a circular progress indicator. I'm going to do a value color of, always stopped animation with a color of like, let's do like black with an opacity. I'm gonna do like half of like the color. Let's take a look. So if I do that, you see, I need it a little bigger. So I probably wrap this around a sized box with let's keep it simple. So I'll do 100 by 100. No, it's there. I need to center. Actually, should have been the other way around. So I should have centered this guy. So let me remove it from here. Remove this widget. Add a center. Now we have a 200. Let's add the stroke width of like 10. Let's do something like that. I like that. Let's make our frog a little bigger. Let's make it like 50. Guys, I'm coming up with this on the fly. Apologies if you don't like, spontaneous code. But I do like it. So anyway, let me wrap this inside a container. So I can do like, you see the frog is not like properly aligned. It's because the way I created that widget. So I'm going to do like a margin of like edge insets only. I'm going to add like a right on the right. I'm going to add like 10 pixels. You see how cool it is? Yeah, a circle border. Yeah, you can use circle border, but you want it animated, buddy. You want it animated. So you can use the circular progress indicator because you want the spinning. Perfect. Okay, so let's do this. And I have my loading. This is what I want as a loading. I can go further than this, but I want to keep it really simple. Now I'll uncomment all this stuff. And then now I'll just return my returning widget. Perfect. And that's my widget. Guys, make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding. At the end of the hour, I'm going to be raffling the Firebase t-shirt. I'm almost done with this. I don't want to keep you too long, but make sure to continue tweeting Flutter Live Coding. At the end of the session, I'm going to raffle a Firebase t-shirt. But if you're Randall, I'm going to give you a Flutter t-shirt too. If Randall comes out, I'll give him a Flutter t-shirt. 2 t-shirts for him. I'm just kidding. But Randall, Randall has been burned so many times. Anyway, let me just finish with the loading piece. Got it. So now that I have the loading, now I want to create the list, right? So let's rebuild this sucker up. Let me reload it. And then you see the spinning, and then after that, it's just gonna disappear because the players need to arrive. So because the players arrive, I'm just gonna do the same thing up here. I'm gonna fetch my players. Got it. And I'm just gonna feed the players right here. Look, I'm just gonna say players. Players. That's it. I'm just gonna feed it into it. And then return widget is just gonna be that's gonna be the returning widget. Let me copy this. Let me go to my leaderboard list, and here I'm going to, I don't need any of these things. I'm going to now create a constructor, actually feeding to my constructor the list of players. So I'll call it players, just like that. Here I add the parameter, is required, call players, you see? Now what I want to do here in my list is just a list view. Let's keep it simple. But if you want to go like me, I want to go a little bit the extra mile, and I want to actually create like a nice header and stuff. So what I want to do is actually a column. If you want to do it just like me here, I want to add that header. And I'm going to add my list of guys right there. So I want to add a header, then the list view right underneath it. So if you see what the structure is, this is a list. This is a column, I'm sorry. So I want to add a column. So I'll add a column, and my children will be first is gonna be, let's do like I'll do a container at the top, and as a child of the container will be a row. In my row, I'll have like a bunch of text widgets. I'm gonna have one called player score time. Like Damien, you said, yeah, you could use a table. But if you're like me, you want to do something much simpler, more straightforward. But much power to you if you want to use a table with rows. Me, I like to keep my stuff simple. And because I want to do my own custom animations and my own very lightweight components, so that's the way I go about it. You can do it with tables, all good. You can import your own package, make your application bloated, all good with me. I'm gonna use my rows with text widgets. I'm gonna add one called player, or actually I'm gonna add one because I want to do this like I want to add like I want to do player score and time. So I want to do that. So I want to do player. I want to do score and time. So I would do score and time. So let's now, for example, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, instead of loading my players, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go for my to the leaderboard list. So instead of fetching the future builder, I can do that, but I can keep it on the other side. That's totally fine. I'm going to exhaust my quota. That's okay. For tonight, I only have a few hours in the day, so I can exhaust my quota. All good. I'm all good. Oh, sorry. Let me just do this. So after I do that, after that container, which is gonna be the header pretty much, I'm gonna add then an expanded widget. And the expanded widget is gonna have a list view builder. So I'm gonna add a list view.builder, which will then populate this list down here. That's exactly what I want. So I'm gonna, remember list view builder has a couple of properties, item count, and of course, you're going to use the players.length as the count. And the item builder takes a context and an index. This is now how I'm going to be looping through my players and just display them accordingly. So here I'm just going to say return. We're going to create like another type of widget for that. For now, I'm just going to say a row. For now, I'm just going to do a text so that you guys can see the players for now. So I want to pull a player object out of my players. I'm just going to say players index. Let's do this. And out of my player, I'm just going to say player dot name. Simple as that. So check this out. So if I save it and reload it, let's take a look. So it loads and there it is. Look, we have already a list with 3 guys and the player score up there. Now let's, we're almost done. It's 10:33. Live coding after hours, Flutter Firebase edition. Make sure to tweet Flutter live coding at the end of the session. Only for those of you who are present, I'm gonna be raffling a Firebase t-shirt and a Flutter t-shirt. So let's do it. So let me finalize this piece right here, because I don't want to duplicate the same thing all over. I probably want to wrap this inside, which is the biggest column. Okay, the player one. So I want to do, for example, wrap this guy inside an expanded widget. An expanded widget with a flex of 2. So it's going to be twice as the other widgets. So, but the other ones I definitely want to probably also adjust the, for example, like I want to adjust their weight pretty much in the whole parent row in the flex widget. So I'm gonna do expanded on all of them, and then later I can adjust it. This container, of course, is gonna have some padding. Let's add some padding. Edge insets.all. I'm looking at the design. Just that's how I'm going by. So I want to make it like faded a little bit. So just the same thing. So I'm gonna do like, let's do 10 with a background color of like colors that black with opacity. Let's do have opacity, and let's take a look. Okay, perfect. There it is. That's the player thingy. Now I want to, yeah, what I was saying is that I want to reuse the styles in these guys. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a property here. I'm gonna say text style, header style. and then I'm gonna say it's gonna be constant text style. All the headers are gonna have a color. They're gonna all be white and a font size of like 15. Let's start with that, and then all I'm gonna do is just say style this, style that, and then I'll just reuse it. You can do it again, whatever way you feel. You can use inherited styles. You can use theming. Remember, my application is very customized. And then I like to see. That's exactly what I wanted. So this is perfect. I want to increase the padding a little bit more. Perfect. And then I have that. Then yeah, you're crossing your fingers, Randall, again. It's so funny. Okay, so let's do a little bit darker on that, and then now I'm gonna proceed to do the other rows, like the rows under here. So now the rows will pretty much, I'm gonna copy paste this same guy, and then I'm gonna call it like row style. Why? Because I don't want that font for my rows. I designed it here, and I wanted to make it like a more readable font. So the way that you could do it is like you can overwrite the font right here. Look, I can just say, for example, like font family Arial, and now I can just copy this pretty much same row down here. But of course, I'm gonna populate what is this? The expanded. What? This is the. I'm sorry. This is the row, and then I just have to do this. Got it. So now I want to so it's not player, it's going to be the name of the player. So player.name. The score, I'm just going to show it here. Score is an integer. So I need to do this. So I need to say score. Actually, I don't need the brackets for this, but I need to kind of like stringify it. You see? Oh, because why does it say dynamic? Oh, player.score. Sorry about that. Player.score. That's okay. And at the time, player.time in seconds. So then I'll convert it later into what it needs to be. So let's reload again. So there you go. They look white, but I don't want that. I want to say font family Arial on the row style, and I need to add those styles down here. This row is definitely gonna have oh no, I'm sorry, I did it on the wrong one. Sorry, here. Row style. And then I do row style on that. What else? We want to wrap the row. We're almost done, guys. So hang in there. I'm gonna wrap inside this a container with some padding, and I said that the padding was the same thing. Edge insets.all. What was the padding up there? The padding on the header, 15. So let's keep it also 15. Let's also do. Actually, look, we could do this. I don't have it here in my design, but I just came up with it. Let's do this. If the index is for the even ones, let's make them like black with with an opacity of like like also like 0.5. Or I can do this. Simplify this. I can grab this and do this. The opacity for this one, when the index is even, let's make it 0.5, but for the other ones, let's make it like 0.2. And then that way we have that, alternate rows. Alternate rows. Let's take a look. Alternate rows. I just came up with that. So let's increase it a little bit so I can read it better. Let me reload it. And there it is. We have a few folks already in there. That's awesome. I think I need maybe this column probably might need a little bit of margin up top on the header. Actually, this container, I'm going to do margin const edge insets dot only top. Let's do 20 pixels on top of that header so we can push it a little bit lower. Perfect. Oh no, actually I did it on the wrong one. Sorry. So let me grab this, cut it. It's in this one right here. So let me do that, paste it, cut it, clean it. Let's save and reload. We're almost done, like I said. And now we should be able to see that. Perfect. It's looking good. Around the whole column, I also want like a background for the whole thing. The header is one thing. This guy is another thing. So maybe I want to do around this whole list view builder, the whole list. I want to add like let me add a container with color and a very faded color, like colors dot black with opacity 0.1, 0.2. Let's try that. Let me see. I want to see the whole thing. There you go. That's what I want. But now check this out. I don't know if you guys know, but another way that you could do is check this out. You see this rounded corners all around it? You could actually just do one widget that clips the whole thing, the whole list. So check this out. The way that I would do that is just I'll clip this whole thing. I'll clip this whole column. Let me see. I can just do wrap with the clip RR rect, the rounded rectangle, and then I'll do a border radius circular of like 30 pixels. Let's see if it does it. So you should clip the whole thing. See, but it only clipped the bottom piece. It didn't clip the top part. So it's because of the margin in the container. You got it. So if I remove the margin from here, I'm not gonna do it from here. I'm gonna do it somewhere else. So I'm gonna take out that margin. I'm gonna reload again, and then you'll see it. So there it is. I'm gonna keep polishing this a lot more, but at least you see how that now it looks. It's looking much like my design, and then I can see the that next session I'm gonna be doing submission of the score, authentication and whatnot. The only thing that I'm gonna leave is with that one of the tricks, because I know that is getting a little bit later, but I want to address the point that Damien mentioned, that he kept mentioning it during the they mentioned it in Flutter code camp in Flutter London. When you rebuild this page, and every time that you do it, it always calls the players. But one way that you could do it is even caching it. So let me show you a very simple way that you could do it. A very simple way. For example, if I hit back and I go back, I'm fetching the same guys. I don't need to be fetching the same list all the time if there haven't been like any submissions or anything like that. One simple way that you could do it, I could stay here and give you 3 approaches. I'm just gonna do one because of the interest in time. One way that you could do is just cache your players. So the way that you do it is this. I can go back here to my services, and then, for example, you see that I have the players right here. All I'm gonna check is very simple. I'm gonna return this guy right up here. I don't even need to make the call. All I'm gonna say is this. I'm gonna wrap this inside an if. If my players is not empty, just simple. See, this is one way that you could do it. If the players is empty, you go fetch it. If the players collection is empty, go fetch your. I'm sorry, I did it at the wrong level. Let me do it again. So we have the I wanted to do it. Let me see, future completer right here. So when I make the get, so right here, right inside of this guy, what I'm gonna do is just say if players, if it's empty, then you do it. It only took me 2 clicks to do that, and then I already optimized it. I'll reload it from the first piece. If not, all it's gonna do is just say else, just give me the players. That's it. Look, players.completed, players.complete, players completed, completer.complete. Just pass the players because they've already been fetched. So that's one way to do it. Look, I'm gonna reload it one more time. It fetches it initially, but then after that, it doesn't do it anymore. What I'm gonna do is probably optimize it so that when we submit the score, that's when you get the updated list, because you wanna see yourself in the list. So now if I go to options, view leaderboards, we load it initially, but then if I go back and go back again, I don't reload it. So did I answer your question, Damien? That's where I wanted to go. I'm gonna show you also 2 other approaches that you can do in order to optimize the calls so that you can truly make it very efficient. So that way, look, now I'm saving money. Every time I do this, I'm saving money. I'm not recalling this thing. but later in the next upcoming session, when we submit the score is when you can then retrieve the list. But this is just a simple way that you could do it. And you see, I'm already saving a lot of reads at this point. Next session, remember, it's not going to be next Wednesday. It's going to be the following one, because I'm going to be at Firebase. I'm going to be at the Firebase Summit, which I invite everybody. Remember, Firebase Summit, if you go to if you go to the Firebase website, I think they advertise it all over the place. Right here, Firebase Summit. Make sure to attend or join online so that you guys can see a lot of the cool things about Firebase, what's new in Firebase. I'm going to be there. Other Flutter GDs are going to be there supporting Firebase as kind of like the one of the most friendliest serverless NoSQL documenting collection databases out there to use with Flutter. So yes, I think we've come to the hour. Now I just wanted to say thank you very much. Yes, I went really fast. Sorry, Adebayo, and just wanted to say thank you very much, buddy, for joining. I know that I went a little bit quick. It's because I wanted to cover as much as I could. But in the next session, we're gonna cover authentication, submitting the score, storing that information. But you saw I did it all in front of you. We started from nothing and now we have like this thing right here. Next session, I'm gonna submit the score, log in, submit only for one particular user and whatnot. So now I'm gonna give you just 30 seconds to a minute so that you could do your favorite thing, which is you do Flutter live coding, tweeting, so that I can pull your name out of the wheel of names and we can raffle a cool Firebase t-shirt if you want it, of course. But yes, I just want to thank everybody for sticking in there, letting us, again, show you a little bit about Firebase. You can explore Firebase as your de facto backend as a service, serverless offering for you to power your mobile, web, and server applications. You can use other providers as well, but I like Firebase because it gives you a very low barrier to entry and it gives you a lot of features under the free tier. So I just wanted to, yes, you could do a time limited cache as well. That's another approach, Randall. Yes. You could also, Firebase also has a way that you can, for example, you can, I don't want to spoil it, but the Firebase has come up with even a no cap on certain ways that you can do like reads and writes and whatnot. I think they have it in the if anybody has been watching Google Cloud, the Google Cloud Next 2022, they showed a lot of advancements in Firebase. But again, Firebase Summit is going to be lit. It's going to be amazing next week. So make sure to attend. So now, good luck to everybody. Let's thank you everybody for sticking around this late. We did a lot of stuff. Now let's do import Twitter users with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding. Let's see how many people we have in line. And this is for a Flutter, not a Flutter t-shirt, only if you're Randall, a Firebase t-shirt, because the theme today is Firebase. So a Firebase t-shirt just like this one. And then we're going to do it. Okay, so good luck, everybody. We're almost at time. So let's pin it. Good luck, everybody, except for me. I already have the t-shirt. So for all of you, good luck to everybody. I'm going to spin it. Good luck. Seriously, good luck. I'm going to spin it. And here we go. The moment of truth. Who wins a Firebase t-shirt today? And Jiang, I don't want to spell it. I just want to say congratulations. Are you here? The t-shirt belongs to Randall now. Who's this guy? Who's this person? Are you available right now? Are you right now? Congratulations. I don't want to say because it's still I can't read it, but congratulations anyway. Thank you so much for being here. That was amazing. If whoever you are, please make sure to ping me via Twitter so that I can get your information and then I can ship your Firebase t-shirt. Next week, there's no streaming. We're going to be doing it the following week where we're going to be continuing with Firebase authentication, storing information into database, Firebase authentication, storing information, and all of that. We can also implement some caching. I'm going to even add other stuff like Crashlytics, app check, and whatnot. just want to say thank you, everybody, for hanging in there. Thank you so much for everybody, giving me a little bit of your time of your Wednesday. Thank you, Damien, Randall, Jose, Serhan, Cirilo, Diern, all of you guys. Thank you so much. I see Juan. Thank you so much for providing input as well. Thank you, everybody. See you in 2 weeks, where we're going to be continuing this session. This is Live Coding After Hours, Flutter Edition, Firebase Edition. My name is Roman Jacos. I am a Flutter GDE. Thank you very much, everybody. See you next time. Please stay safe. Thank you so much. See you next time.